Hey everyone, we're back with another lesson. This time we're going to go through a little bit of a challenge question for our mechanical engineer who's on the other side. How are you?
Very good.
All right. So last time we went through some basic dictionary syntax and working with them. You learned, how they're structured, right, with a key and value.
hmm
So I have a little bit of a challenge question for you. So what we're going to do is I want you to print out in any format you want the
hmm
count of each character in a string. Okay. So why don't you start off by just define a string at the top and make it a bunch of letters with some repeating ones, um, as long as you want. But you can call the string whatever you want. Pringle.
Random
That's a great.
random letters.
Yeah, that's a great variable name there. Yeah. Awesome. So now we have our string, and what I want you to return basically is, in this case, it looks like we have 3 O's, for example.
hmm
So I want you to print out to the screen or to the console O and 3. So I want just like a readable format that I can see the count of every character in that string.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Walk me through your thought process, and then we'll see how you do.
Yeah, sure. So I want some kind of a for loop. Maybe yeah, probably four. Like call like letter in Pringle. And that'll run through every letter, right?
Okay.
And then I need to somehow count all the letters. And then kind of output the letter with the count that we just did.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's exactly right. So now, how are we going to do that with the code here?
That's a good question. So maybe we have to assign a variable to each letter, maybe, and as that letter comes up, we'll increase that variable count.
Okay. So the only problem I see with this though is so letter count right now, what letter does that correspond to?
Um, well, if it was something like this, um, this, um, then it would just be whatever letter we're on. So this would change every time. Letter count would change every time. Oh, maybe we need an if statement in here because if it's the same letter, then we need something else needs to occur, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely on the right track there. So, but how are we keeping track of all of these letters?
Hmm.
Because let's assume that there can be uppercase, lowercase, everything. There could be endless amounts of different characters we put in there.
Yeah. Um, am I on the right track here with assigning a variable to it?
Kind of, yeah. Why don't you look at the name of your file, and I bet you that'll give you a hint to what you need.
The Pringle here you're talking about? Or
The-
oh, the dict challenge. Oh, dictionary challenge. Right.
right, right.
Um, so I need to assign letter to a number. So
Which is the count, right?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
So um, do letter dictionary equals. I have to remember how to use a dictionary. Um, can you give me some help here? A hint on the syntax
Yeah.
here?
So the only thing that I'll stop you before you define this is that every time this for loop X is run, so
hmm
for as many letters there are in Pringle, right?
hmm Yeah.
It is going to run everything inside of that loop. So if you defined or initialized your dictionary here, it would
hmm
get reinitialized to empty every single time this for loop ran.
Okay.
So you're going to want to define that above this for loop.
hmm
Why don't you just start it off with just an empty dictionary?
What does
Do you
that
remember
look
the
like?
syntax with the curly brackets?
It's curly brackets, empty. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that's empty now.
Okay.
So now remember what letter is at every iteration, right?
hmm
So let's just, so you mentioned actually that there are two cases, right?
Yeah.
One of which is it's the first time we've seen this letter.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is that we've already seen this letter and we need to increment the count, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we handle if we have not seen the letter before? So the first iteration, second, third, fourth, in the example we have there. So
Like this?
that could work, yeah. So you have, so what's this saying in English?
If the letter that we pull in Pringle is in our dictionary, then we're gonna do this, whatever this is.
Okay, yeah. So remember, when you do if let in let dict,
Mm-hmm.
what is that checking? The keys or the values?
It's checking the keys.
Right. Are you sure? You sound very hesitant there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. So it's checking
50-50.
the keys. So in our dictionary that you're creating here, this might help a lot. What are our keys and what are our values?
Our keys are going to be numbers, I think, and then our values are going to be letters. Or I guess we could do either way, but there might be a better way to do
either
it.
way?
I'm not sure.
So in this case, our keys, so the thing on the left-hand side, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Is going to be what we use to look up. So in this case, you're checking if letter in let dict, and that's going to look through the keys of that dictionary. So in this case, the keys have to be the character.
Yeah.
So now the value is going to be all your counts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you increment the value at a specific key in a dictionary? And if you can do that, then line 5 will be all set.
We do the plus equals function, right?
Right. So now, but what are we adding 1 to?
We're
Think
adding
back
it.
to the phone book and how we index like John's phone number or Tony's phone number.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very similar to that.
I'm not sure I'm getting it here.
So we are trying to increment 1
Mm-hmm.
to the position or the key in our dictionary at the character let.
Mm-hmm.
So let is a character, remember that.
Yeah.
So if this conditional executes, then we know that this letter is in the dictionary,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can just type let dict and then index that at let. Just like you index John's phone number, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why don't you just,
I guess.
it's with the square brackets, just like you're indexing a list or something like that. So, and then just make sure you backspace 1 so it actually is associated. Yeah, there you go.
And so we want let in here, correct?
Right. So, and then this is going to be plus equals 1 because we've already seen it. It's already in there, and we need to increment it 1. So does that make sense now? So we've already seen the letter; it's already in there. We don't need to make a new entry in our dictionary. We just want to increment the value at that key, which is let by 1, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now our other case is what?
What's our other case? It's gonna be something along the lines of if let not in. Can we do that? Okay. Let not in dict.
Keep going. I'll let you go. No, I'll let you go.
So here we want to assign let into our dictionary, correct?
Yes.
How do I do that?
So do you remember how you added Tony's phone number to the phone book?
Mm-hmm.
So look at line 5, and it's very similar to that.
Okay. And then do I need like a comma then a number or something along those lines?
Nope, you're going to assign this key to a certain value, so you can backspace that one there. You had that part at the left side of it, right?
Okay.
So yeah, you can get rid of the comma too.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And then if it's the first time we've seen it, what is this going to equal?
1.
Right. There you go.
Okay. And now, once it's through all the way, we'll want to print it out, right?
Yeah, so is our dictionary all set now? Is this going to give us something that we can work with,
I think so.
Because again, I don't really care about the the format. I just want to see if we can get all of these printed out.
Yeah, no, I think this will work. I mean, we could test it,
great.
Right?
So now, yeah, go ahead. Let's see what we get.
Remember, there's different ways to print dictionary, but I think I need some parentheses here. Maybe?
Nope, you had it right. It's just a variable. Okay. Yeah, you just printed the whole variable itself.
Okay, so we'll see what that pumps out.
All right, let's see.
Okay.
Does that look right?
O is 3. Yeah, P is 2. Bunch of 1s. Yeah, that's right.
It went pretty well, I'd say. So
cool.
So now let's say that I don't really care about the letters. I just want you to give me all the counts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what built-in dictionary method we can call to just get that?
Dot values or counts? One of those, something like that?
Why don't you pick one? We'll see what happens. And use the,
this looks familiar. Okay.
There you go. So now I got a little curveball just because you did that pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is a callback to, I think, probably the second lesson when I was throwing 1,000 things at you at once.
Okay.
So if you look down at the bottom there, right, the print, it says dict_values, right? And it's like this weird format, but it looks like there's what looks like a list inside of there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what if I wanted this to be a list and I wanted format of a list that I'm used to seeing on my console with brackets? Do you remember what it's called when we change one data type to another data type?
Oh. No, I'm not sure, but I kind of remember that.
So I think what we did was we changed something into an integer from a string, right?
Uh-huh.
I think that was in the calculator.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called casting. So I want to cast. I'm not actually sure. I think values might be a list. We can check it with the type function, but just for the sake of this, to cast it over to a list. Do you remember how we did the cast over to an int? What we had to do?
Dot cast, something along those lines. Built-in function.
It is a built-in function. It wasn't dot cast. So you actually, in your print statement there, on the left of let dict, so the very beginning of it, you can type the word list, and then open parenthesis, and then wrap it up, close. So what you're saying here is cast my let dict.values to a list and then print it.
Yeah. Okay.
So try that. And there you go.
Sweet.
So casting is something that I'll sprinkle in as we go. It's kind of important. It's used when it's needed, I guess, of course, but it's something that you just kind of always have to have in mind that your data types match what you expect. So you did the problem perfectly though. You had a little bit of trouble just with the syntax, I think.
Yeah.
So actually, on line 6 there, instead of a whole other conditional, can you think of another control flow thing that we could just do there?
Else?
Yep, but now if you have else, well, you could do else if here and leave your condition. But with else, do you have a condition?
Well, this will go if this doesn't go, right?
Right, but do you see where it says let not indict? How it has red underneath?
Oh.
So do you even need to have that if you have else?
No. I can get rid of this.
Don't have the
conditions,
the condition, right?
Okay.
So go ahead and delete that. We'll just make sure that it works. And looks like you forgot your favorite thing there. There you go. There you go. So it's a little bit cleaner like that, and you can flip-flop it because we know that, like, deterministically, the only two conditions that we can come up with is that it's either in the dictionary or it isn't. So now for an else if, though, what do you need for that?
Condition?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think just based on the solution here, the way that you have it with an if-else is probably the cleanest way.
Cool.
So yeah, good job. You got the first little challenge question. And then, believe it or not, this little way of looping through a string or a list like that, and kind of caching. That's a word that we'll start using, which is just kind of like saving temporarily, like saving something on the side, adding space to your program. So in this case, adding a dictionary to solve a problem is really common in the technical interviews. So you'll definitely be using this quite a bit.
Cool.
So,
Awesome.
great job. Yeah, you got any other questions before we wrap up?
All set, I think. Thanks.
All right, awesome. Thanks.